mexicano. Si ustedes desean escuchar la junta en español e ingresaron con una computadora, una vez que la interpretación sea encendida, van a ver el icono de un mundo en la parte de abajo de su pantalla. Seleccionen ese icono y seleccionen el canal de español. Si ustedes ingresaron con un teléfono móvil o con una tableta, sus opciones se ven un poquito diferentes. Necesitan tocar su pantalla y van a buscar el menú de los tres puntitos, ya sea arriba o abajo de su dispositivo. Seleccionen la interpretación de idioma, después español y por último, John. Si necesitan ayuda, pueden dejar sabernos en el chat para poderles ayudar. Thank you very much. We can start interpretation now.
On your screen. Supervisor Barger, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us again for our weekly Altadena Community Meeting. Before we open it up for presentations and questions, there are two issues that I want to touch on that I have seen arise over the last week. First, I've heard from constituents who want to know exactly what will happen at the temporary debris staging area at the Altadena Golf Course. To clarify, there is currently nothing happening on site at the golf course. When the Army Corps work does begin on site, it will consist of three streams of debris: vegetative, metal, and concrete. The Corps will be breaking up clean concrete, bundling metal, and putting vegetative debris into a wood chipper to all be taken away to appropriate recycling centers. The Army Corps has committed to me and to you that they will be good neighbors during this process. If you have any concerns or questions, you can contact the Debris Call Center at 213-308-8305. Again, 213-308-8305, anytime between 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. I will continue to keep you all in the loop about this work. I also want to acknowledge that I've heard concerns about the rate that the ROEs are being sent to Public Works to the Army Corps. I am paying close attention to the issue and have voiced my concerns about the speed that ROEs are being processed. It is unacceptable, and Public Works is expected to get it done in real time. You all deserve quick, efficient work by the county so that we can work through the debris removal process and to get rebuilding underway. Public Works has committed to expediting this process and ensuring that we get this work done in a timely manner. I will be getting daily updates from them, ensuring that the numbers are in fact reflecting what they've told me. Please continue to share any questions and concerns with my office and with our county departments so that we can nip these issues in the bud as soon as possible. Thank you for staying engaged at these weekly meetings and throughout the entire week. And one quick reminder, for those of you who are renters or whose structures are still standing, I hope you'll jump on to our call at 5 p.m. right after this one for a special meeting that is tailor-made for you. With that, let's get started.
All right, thank you. And our first presenter today is going to be Los Angeles County Assessor Jeffrey Prang. Please go ahead, and we will be sharing the slides as well now.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon. I want to thank Supervisor Barger for inviting me to join this town hall. I'm joined by Assistant Assessor Scott Thornberry and Special Assistant Assessor Lawrence Liu. There's been a lot of confusion about rebuilding and reassessments, and I want to take this opportunity to provide a general overview of disaster relief and clear up some of these misconceptions. First of all, I hope everybody whose property was damaged or destroyed has had the opportunity to fill out what we call the misfortune and calamity form. You can either in person or online. This program provides temporary property tax relief for anybody whose property has been damaged or destroyed at a lower rate following this natural disaster. With this program, property assessments and the accompanying property tax bills will be lowered to reflect the damage until the rebuilding process begins. To qualify, the damage needs to be at least $10,000, and that includes smoke damage, and the claim must be filed within 12 months of the incident date, although I'm currently sponsoring legislation that will extend that application period. Once your form is filed, we transfer it automatically to the Treasurer Tax Collector, who will automatically defer your property taxes until a recalculated tax bill is processed. If you've already paid both installments of your 2024 property taxes, any reduction will result in a refund. If you had planned to pay your second installment before April, the Treasurer Tax Collector recommends that you do not pay for it at this time, but wait for a new tax bill reflecting the adjustment based on the damage to be issued. For homeowners whose properties were not physically damaged, but whose market value is dropped due to conditions in the neighborhood, they may qualify for what's called a decline in value review. This allows us to lower the property tax basis if the current market value of the property falls beneath its assessed value. The assessed value is more or less the value that you paid for the property. The market value is what it could sell for today. This will also be applied to land value where appropriate. I will say the current law presents some challenges in applying this program. We assess all properties annually on January 1st because the fires happen starting on the 7th. Without legislation, this property tax relief program would not go in effect until next year. We do have legislation that will allow us to adjust the dates to include this program for those properties. I did also want to state that the governor did issue an executive order that allows property tax deferrals for anybody in an impacted zip code until April of next year. One point that's been confusing to a lot of people deals with how much they can rebuild. So you may have heard the number 110%, 120%, and I want to clarify these points today. First, the 110% rebuild refers to an expedited rebuild permit review process ordered by the state and the county. This is different than what the assessor's standard of rebuilding and assessment is. With my office, the Misfortune and Calamity Tax Relief Program has two primary standards when rebuilding following a natural disaster. One of them says that 120% of the pre-damaged property's value and substantial equivalence of size and use. When we're talking about value, that is not the size of your property, according to the California Revenue and Taxation Code. This does not mean you can rebuild to 120% of what, in terms of the size of what was previously on the site. If you do, you'll be reassessed for that overage. We don't believe that this program that offers 120% is particularly useful to anybody. The better program that we're applying to most impacted property owners is the standard Misfortune and Calamity program. This says that if you rebuild your property to a substantial equivalence of what was there before the fire, your pre-fire tax base will be restored once you begin to rebuild the property. There's another issue that's kind of come to our attention in recent days, dealing with refunds and supplemental bills and how the county property tax system works. And I'm going to let this could be pretty complicated and confusing. I'm going to let Scott Thornberry describe what the challenges that you may see with these issues for a second or two. Scott?
Good afternoon. So starting in April, we are going to begin our Misfortune and Calamity reassessments and probably running through June, but the bulk will be in April. So what you can expect to see from us would be a series of notice of assessed value change, indicating the changes in your assessment for a couple years running. If you have recently purchased your home and we haven't reassessed it yet, you may see some supplemental notice of assessed value change, or if you have new construction in the recent couple of years, you might see the same also coming your way within the next month or two. So be on the lookout for those. Now, after your notice of assessed value change goes out, there will be either, if you haven't paid your second installment, there will be an adjusted tax bill, or if you have paid your second installment for this year, there will be a refund, or there will be supplemental bills as a result of those changes of ownership or new construction. And those will follow on our notices of assessed value change. Now, there is a period of time between May and August where the auditor is not refunding for a variety of refund or billing for a variety of reasons. And so most of our properties will be reassessed during that short time period, and you should see refunds or adjusted tax bills in that time frame. But if that time frame is missed, you may see that relief coming in August or September.
Circumstances. That process and understand what it means. First, please don't want to mention.
But is everyone else hearing Assessor
No.
Praying?
No.
Assessor Praying, your audio was kind of changed after he was speaking. I don't know if you can mute and unmute yourself again. Still not great. I don't know if you have any earphones that you can connect in, or if you click right next to your mute button with that little caret up or caret down, you might be able to select a different microphone.
Might we also suggest if his Wi-Fi is overstretched that he kill the video while he answers? That sometimes helps.
Sure. And then go ahead and unmute yourself again, Assessor Praying. And we're still not hearing you if you are.
Yeah, out of the interest of time, because I want to get to people's questions. Can we put in the chat, Jeff Prang, the website for the assessors, so that people can go on that website to get more information?
Thank you, Supervisor. On your screen right now, you will see QR codes to be able to access the assessor's website, homeowner alerts, and e-file instructions. We'll leave this on for just a minute to make sure that you are able to access it. And then moderator, please go ahead.
All right, and next up we have Colonel Avichal from the Army Corps of Engineers. Colonel, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I'm going to just spend a few minutes and just give you an update on where we are, and then where we are ramping up towards, especially as we receive the new rights of entry or more rights of entry. And then finally, I'll talk a little bit more about operations at the golf course as well. So first of all, I just wanted to say right now we have 65 debris removal crews operating in the Eaton fire footprint. For awareness, last week we had about 35. So we are ramping up at a good pace right now. We estimate that number of crews will reach anywhere between 80 and 100 when we hit our plateau. So again, as we are preparing for the influx of rights of entry that we will get from the county, we are continuing to grow. We should hit that 100 crew number within the next few weeks. We're actually probably, within about the next 4 to 6 weeks. And it may even be faster than that. In terms of the golf course itself, over the past 2 weeks, we have been setting up the Altadena golf course to serve as a temporary debris storage and reduction site. This is not in operation right now. It is only being prepared. This storage and reduction site will be for clean concrete, steel / metal, and vegetative debris. No fire ash debris will come to the golf course. That will be processed on site in accordance with how we are currently doing those operations. For awareness, clean concrete has also been, the concrete that is going to the golf course has been tested for asbestos, and so it will be asbestos free and will be rinsed with water prior to its arrival to the golf course. Once going to the golf course, the debris will be separated. It'll be reduced in volume and then transferred to larger trucks, and then it will be taken to the appropriately permitted landfills. As we continue to add crews, the site will be essential for us meeting our goal of debris removal by January 2026. The act of reducing the debris and loading it onto larger trucks will end up having at least 50% fewer trucks having to travel from the Altadena area to the landfill, which is important for traffic as well as safety. It will also allow us to cycle more smaller trucks to and from the project sites to increase production. We are committed to implementing the best management practices that we were able to. So on site, we will constantly be misting all of the machinery that will reduce the concrete. We'll have multiple air monitors on site to constantly check air quality. We will have our operators outfitted with air quality monitors, as well as we will monitor noise and implement noise reduction equipment as needed. We have also conducted a baseline environmental baseline survey, which included soil testing, and will restore the golf course to its pre-disaster condition. Pending your questions, that's all I have for my update. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Colonel. And next we will hear from the Assistant Deputy Director, Amiko Thompson, with the Department of Public Works. Please go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I'm Amiko Thompson, just here to provide you with a quick update on the ROE status. So to move more quickly through the ROE, increase staffing to 250 people working on the ROEs. To date, we have transmitted over 3,600 ROEs to the Army Corps of Engineers. And just for your information, complete and straightforward ROEs are reviewed, approved, and submitted to the Army Corps relatively quickly. Excuse me for just a second. However, whenever there are ROEs that are missing critical information, such as trust information, or maybe it has the ID, there are two owners, but maybe there's only information for one owner. Those are the types of things that require additional information. So when that happens, then you will be receiving an email or a phone call from our team members to gather that information quickly so that we can then process the ROE and transmit it to the Army Corps of Engineers. Currently, we're ramping up our efforts to complete ROEs to as many as over 200 per day. We completely understand how important this is for you and to the supervisor. So we are doing everything we can to really focus our efforts in this area. Regarding the status of your ROE, you can access real-time updates on your ROE by visiting recovery.lacounty.gov and then going to debris removal and then clicking on track your ROE. You may already be aware, green means it's been transmitted to the Army Corps. Yellow means additional information is needed, and we will make a concerted effort to reach out to you to get that additional information. And orange means it has been received. So if you have any questions regarding the ROE process, please do not hesitate to either call our debris removal hotline or contact us via email at roe.dpw.lacounty.gov. And the number for the debris, and the number for the debris removal hotline My apologies. I'll put it in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miko. We appreciate it. So as you all look for that in the chat, we'll go ahead and next turn to our local water agencies. Bill Kimberling is with the Las Flores Water Company. Please go ahead, Bill.
Hello. Are you actually asking for an update?
Yes, please.
I just joined the meeting, so I'm sorry. Yes, Las Flores is waiting for deliveries from Lincoln Avenue, and Lincoln Avenue is waiting for their system to be cleared. Once it's cleared, they can deliver the water to our lake and Cobb zones. And once that happens, we'll go through the process of flushing and then the sample process, which is going to take probably another 3 to 4 weeks before we'll have hopefully potable water.
Okay, thank you, Bill. And next we'll move to Jennifer Bentoncourt from the Lincoln Avenue Water Company. Please go ahead, Jennifer.
Good afternoon. So as of last Thursday, March 6th, the order was lifted for 60% of our service area. And I anticipate the order to be lifted for the entire service area by early next week. A map of these areas to determine, what area your home may fall in is available on our website. It's lawc.org.
Great, thank you. And lastly, we'll hear from Lisa Yamashita Lopez of the Rubio Canyon Land and Water Association. Please go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Special thank you to Kathryn Barger for pushing some buttons for me. Happy to report that we are underway next week to start debris removal, which will help us rebuild quickly. So appreciate that. Thank you so very much. And in regards to our do not drink order, hot off the press, literally just before this call, received lab results for the last, I believe, 9 or 10 samples that were requested. Those all came back non-detect, which is great news. And we've put a formal request into the State Water Board to lift the do not drink order. So we are getting close.
Wonderful, thank you. And now we will transition to the question and answer portion for the evening. The following questions were submitted ahead of tonight's community meeting, and we will answer as many of them as time can be allotted. You can also submit questions in real time using the chat or comment functions on your screen. And as a reminder, you can always find answers to your frequently asked questions on recovery.lacounty.gov/Altadena. And our first question is for Assessor Prang. We'll go ahead and test your audio again. Can we hear you?
So I signed out and signed back in. Is that any better?
So much better. Okay, wonderful. So the first question is a three-parter. It says, please clearly explain the 20% rule regarding assessed value of rebuilds to keep pre-existing property tax levels. This is a three-part question. So the first part is, how can we confirm if what we're rebuilding will be reassessed over or under the 20% of what pre-existed?
So the first thing is I want to emphasize that 120% standard is not particularly helpful or useful. That was a provision that was part of a governor declaration, a disaster declaration a couple of years ago. It is not as robust or as helpful of a program as our standard program, which says that if you rebuild to a substantial equivalence as to what was on your property in terms of size and use before the fire, that your pre-fire property tax assessment will be restored. The 120% has nothing to do with the size of your property. It's relevant to the value of your property before the fire and the value of the property when you're done with rebuilding. That number is going to fluctuate and become less valuable over the years. We don't recommend it. But your property, when it is rebuilt under misfortune calamity, you will have the same tax rate that you had before. If you decide you want to add, let's say you want to add an ADU or make your home bigger, though, what would happen is your pre-fire tax base would be restored, and then anything that goes over that would be assessed at market value.
Oh, thank you for including that. So the second question was, if we build an ADU, will the entire property be reassessed over 20%?
No, that would be when you do new construction. What is added is assessed at market value and then combined with your pre-existing assessed value. So we will not reassess the entire property, just what's being added as new.
Okay, thank you. And then the third part of that question was, if state laws or other ordinances kick in, such as solar, all electric, sprinklers, etc., will those improvements create a situation where the new assessed value would be over 20%?
This 120% is really confusing. It's not even that clear to me, quite frankly. Scott, can you add any insight as to how those particular elements would impact the rebuild assessment?
Yes, if those elements, here it's mentioned solar, all electric, sprinklers, etc. If those impact the value, so we have two values, one the day before the fire, the second value is the day you complete reconstruction. If those ordinances impact the value on that second leg, that date of reconstruction, then yes, they could have an impact. But for those, it's not likely to be a huge impact for those that are mentioned there.
Awesome, thank you. And for our second question, it also happens to be for the assessor. It is, the reassessment of all rebuilt homes may diminish the ability of many families to remain in Altadena. What can be done to change this reassessment policy?
Well, there's nothing to be done from my office. The reassessment is all provided for in the Constitution, Proposition 13, which prescribes how assessments are conducted throughout the state. If there is a desire to change that, it would actually be quite complicated. It would probably require a constitutional amendment.
Okay, thank you for that. And the next question is for the Department of Insurance. I believe Julia's on. It says, I am being told that the insurance funds we receive are accruing interest at a very low interest rate. If it'll take up to a year to start the rebuilding process, is there a way to have our mortgage company place our insurance checks into a higher interest compound account?
Thank you very much for the question. Unfortunately, the Department of Insurance is not involved in those transactions. That is a mortgage. It would be something that you would need to work with your mortgage company on, and that may be something that, you know, if you would like to get assistance with that and work with them. They, you know, that is, you know, strictly with them. However, you know, this might be something that it might be of interest for future policies, or you know, that you can look into with your elected officials to suggest support on that.
Can I add to that? I'm going to look into this because I ran into someone who told me that that they owe like $180,000 on their house. The insurance check came in for $500,000. And the bank is saying that they'll sit on it until I think they rebuild. And I think that is totally inappropriate. And I'm going to talk to Commissioner Lara about that, because to have the check made out to both and then to have the bank sit on it like that, I think is further victimizing these survivors of this fire. So I'm going to follow up on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Supervisor Barger, the next question is actually for you. It says, will there be any mortgage forgiveness for those impacted by a presidentially declared disaster? If not, then will there be the opportunity to refinance at a much lower interest rate?
So to the first part of the question, I know that we have Representative Harabedian, who has got legislation that is going to do forbearance for 1 year. The Secretary of Housing and Urban Development was out here on Thursday and announced that they've actually done a 90-day extension of the foreclosure moratorium on the Federal Housing Administration insured single-family mortgages. So I am working with a coalition on that to make sure that we get that done. I'm also working with banks on low-interest rebuilding loans and other creative ways that customers and residents displaced by the fires can access financing at a cost that's far less than the construction loans right now at 8 to 9%. So I am working on that as we speak.
Thank you. And the next question is for Public Works. Amico, if you or your colleagues who are on could answer this one. It is, what measures are being taken to ensure rebuilding costs do not price residents out of the ability to rebuild their homes? Altadena could be lost to moneyed interest. So I'm not sure, Amico, if you're still available, or one of your colleagues.
I believe there's another Public Works colleague from the rebuild team that's on.
Who is that, Amico?
I can try to answer that, Supervisor Barger. Can you please repeat the question for me?
Thank you, Amy.
Jennifer?
Sure, it is. What measures are being taken to ensure that rebuilding costs do not price residents out of the ability to rebuild their homes?
Understood. Thank you. So one of the things that was done was the initial rebuilding permit, if you're going to do a like for like reconstruction, has been set at an incredibly low rate to make sure that homeowners can afford those permit costs. The other thing that I would suggest is we have several programs where we're allowing expedited permitting, which will also help shorten your construction time and reduce those costs. One of them is to do a like for like rebuild on what you already have existing. The second one is we are developing pre-approved plans that can be available and will be available at no cost to anyone who's not able to afford an architect. And so you will be able to go and select a square footage and a style of home that is acceptable to you so that you can get pre-approved plans. The third option is that anyone can purchase a prefabricated manufactured home, which also reduces construction costs extensively. And that also reduces the amount of permitting time that you're going to have with the county as well. So we're looking at all of those efforts and more as part of our rebuilding. I don't know if Ray, if you have anything else to add to that, but I think that answers the question.
I'm from building and safety.
Okay, so with that, we can go ahead and move to the next question then. Thank you. The next question is for FEMA. The question is, an uninsured household received a FEMA grant of approximately $43,000 and another $43,000 for building services. Is there a possibility that in addition to SBA loans, there could be other reconstruction grants? So if our FEMA person is available, it looks like that's Roxanne Crawford or Faustino Salinas. Are either of you available to answer that?
This is Ms. De Jesus from FEMA. I'm sorry, could you repeat the scenario? I understood that the applicant received $43,000, which is the max.
Yep, so the uninsured household received a FEMA grant of approximately $43,000 and another $43,000 for building services. Is there a possibility that in addition to SBA loans, that there could be other reconstruction grants?
So in the case of FEMA, if an applicant has received the maximum grant for structural, which is the $43,000, we would have to refer them to other programs. At least they have received the maximum that we're legally allowable to provide.
Okay, thank you. And we'll go ahead and bounce back to Julia with the Department of Insurance. It is, I am entitled to recoup my lost rental income because we have heard that businesses are compensated for similar loss of revenue. So the question's if the person is entitled to recoup their lost rental income.
Thank you. We need a little more facts about this depending on the type of policy that you have. Is it a homeowner's policy, a commercial or landlord policy, or what type of business it is? But in general, loss of income or business interruption coverage may be included in a commercial multi-peril policy if it is caused by a covered loss. So the best advice that we can give is to file a claim with the Department of Insurance with your insurance company. And if you are denied, file a complaint with the Department of Insurance, and we can certainly look into this as well. And just as a reminder, you can contact the department at either insurance.ca.gov or our phone number at 1-800-927-4357. Again, it's 1-800-927-4357. Thank you.
Thanks, Julia. And Supervisor Barger, the next question's for you. It is, will you consider waiving permit fees for rebuilds?
Yeah, I mean, I am committed to pursuing every available funding source for either partial or full fee waivers for those who are rebuilding. We just received a report from the 4 county permitting departments with their estimates. for what the fees will be for all of the rebuilds. And I know that some departments have expressed concern about the inability to recover the cost. So I'm going to be pursuing every means to look at that. But I think Amy Bodick touched on it. Streamlining is going to bring down the cost. So I'm going to continue to drill down and make sure that these fees are as low as they can be. So stay tuned. There's going to be more to come on this as we work toward identifying either resources to do a partial or full offset of fees.
Thank you for that answer. And Amy, if you could stay listening, we actually have the next question is for regional planning or possibly public works, but it is, what is the general foreseeable timeline for rebuilding for owners? And what is the county doing to help with expediting this process?
Certainly, that's an excellent question. And the first thing that we've done to expedite that is the 4 permitting departments opened up a brand new one-stop in Altadena at 464 West Woodbury. So that includes the Department of Regional Planning, Building and Safety, Public Works, Public Health, and the Fire Department. And we are there Monday through Friday, and then partially part days on Saturdays. So we're open from, I think, 9:30 to 6 Monday through Friday, and I think 10 to 1 or 9 to 1 on Saturdays. So that's number one. Number two, we have a committed goal of returning and approving all like-for-like rebuilds or simple rebuild applications within 30 days. That is a goal that we are working on, and that is an expectation that the supervisor has for us, for all of our departments. And again, if someone does select a pre-approved plan, that certainly does speed it up. If they are going to be proposing something larger or more complex, it will then take a little bit more time, but we are still in the process of doing those metrics, and the expectation is to expedite all of those.
Awesome, thank you. And next we have for Supervisor Barger. It says, since California's building code now requires new homes to have double pane windows, solar panels, and fire sprinklers, will there be any financial help from the state or county to make these upgrades more affordable for homeowners?
Yeah, as many of you may or may not know, I authored a motion that was adopted by this board to send a 5-signature letter to the governor and the legislature to waive many of those requirements. The letter also included a request for the state to fully fund opportunities to implement these design standards. We do not want those requirements to be a burden on those who have lost everything. We know that implementing solar, battery storage, and other hardening opportunities can benefit our residents. But similarly, I know and have asked the Chief Sustainability Office to prioritize any and all funding opportunities, grants, and resources at the county level. This is something that I actually personally also talked to the governor and his staff about. If we're going to mandate these type of things, and I talked to someone who wants to do solar, but it may price her out of the ability to rebuild, I want to make sure that we provide funding grants for individuals to do this. In addition, I'm going to also be talking to the state about waiving the fees that are associated with assessing on property where we are doing solar, because I think it's unfair to mandate something and then have it end up costing you additional dollars on your assessment. I don't know if it's going to be possible, but I'm actually going to be seeking legislation because I did not know about that until Assessor Prang brought it up today.
Thank you for that. And next we'll go to David Ford with Edison. This question is, the prior rebates or incentives for homeowners to install energy efficient windows had an income restriction. Due to the change in circumstances, will those rebates be available for all homeowners who lost their homes and are rebuilding? So David, are you available to answer that one from Southern California Edison? Or if he's not, is anyone on from SoCal Edison?
Moderator, I believe he was on and may have had some technical difficulties and hopped off. If we can circle back.
Okay, I'll mark that one. And next we'll go back to Amy then with regional planning. The question is it possible to fast track permitting on ADUs, both new construction and conversions such as detached garage alongside main dwelling rebuilds?
Yes, the answer is yes. That's the most simple answer I can give you. Absolutely. It's in our plans.
Awesome.
And
Thank
I can
you.
reiterate that. She's not lying.
That's great.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, and then we'll move to the water company. So I know that we have 3 of you on, if you could all listen closely. The question is, what is the long-term future of the 3 mutual water districts, including Lincoln Avenue Water, Las Flores Water, and Rubio Canyon Land and Water Association, that has served the Altadena communities beyond just restoration of damaged facilities?
This is Lisa. I think I'll take that for all 3 of us. Jennifer, Bill, are you okay with that?
Go ahead and I'll add if I need to.
Okay. So basically, what we first and foremost, what's critical is restoring facilities back so that we can get water in quickly so that you guys can start rebuilding and issuing will serve letters. That's first and foremost. And prior to this disaster, every water utility works off of a master plan, and a master plan is something that the utilities do engineering analysis. They say, okay, what are your vulnerabilities? What capacity building do you need to do to further enhance your system? And we work off of that plan, and we have sufficient funds to do capital improvements, which we do each and every year. So that's nothing new. Since the disaster, we will continue to do that. I think this puts us in a perspective of how we can build better and bigger for the next impact, for sure. And as a mutual water company, the Altadena residents that we serve, our first priority is to protect you as a shareholder, your property rights and your water rights. And so that's my perspective on that.
Thank you, Lisa. And Jennifer, Bill, did you have anything to add?
Just that, you know, I think all water companies, we've been committed to providing safe and reliable drinking water to the community for over 130 years. And, you know, we're prepared to continue doing that into the future.
All right, thank you. So we can move on to Julia with the Department of Insurance. This question is, AAA has been delaying my claim with fire in my home. How can I get AAA to pay for the damage on my home?
One of the things that we have been asking everyone is to please keep a log of every conversation you have had with your insurance company, who you talk to, what they have said to you. One of the easy ways that you can do that is if you create an email account that is just for communication with your insurance company, and you just add all of that information there, and you just continue to, you have a complete log of all of the conversations that you're having. Once, you know, so that way they are, you're keeping them accountable. What you can do is you can file a complaint with the Department of Insurance, and we can follow up with the insurance company and work with you to make sure that they follow through with what it is that they're supposed to be doing. Whether it's AAA, whether State Farm, Farmers, whatever company that you are working with, we can work with you to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. Commissioner Lara is hosting another workshop this weekend, this Saturday at Muir High School, where you are able to come make an appointment and meet with our experts individually, and you can go through whatever issue that you're having, and they can walk you through what needs to be done. Then we will also have representatives from the insurance companies there that you will be able to meet with after you meet with our experts, so that you're able to get some answers and be able to meet with someone one-on-one. So I urge you to please make an appointment. Our appointments are available. We're going to be there from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. At Muir High School, and the number to make an appointment is 1-800-927-4357.
Thank you, Julia. And stay tuned in because the next question is for you again. So this person says, a few years ago, a tree fell in our garage and it took 2 years for the State Farm insurance claim to be finalized, as they switched our agent 5 times. For our Eaton fire claim, they told us they could do it as many times as they want, potentially even up to 6 times. Every time they switch the agent, it slows down the process and drags it out. Is there anything that can be done to stop this bad faith behavior?
We are requesting that when you are coming across any type of behavior that you you deem that it is not conducive to getting everything done, or that you feel like you are being taken advantage of in any way, it is important for you to make a complaint at the department, because that's the way that we can see if it is something systemic within an organization. The department does conduct market conduct exams and is able to review and then even find organizations that may be taking advantage of consumers. So it is important that when you are coming across something that you're having trouble with, that you let us know so that we are able to look at that. And you can also do that either by calling us at our 800 number, or you can do it through our chat feature in our website. And our website is insurance.ca.gov. So you are welcome to do that, and we'll be able then to follow up and verify and see if we can, how we can help to make sure that this doesn't happen or that it is rectified.
Thank you for that. And next we'll go with Colonel Avichal. The question for the Army Corps of Engineers is, how can we get a tree reassessed so that we do not have to sign a waiver and jeopardize or complicate our rebuild permits? So Colonel, are you available to answer that one?
Yes, I am, at least on the reassessment portion. So we do
And
not have
it sounds like the audio, maybe there's something going on, but I'm hearing a little screeching pitch with that. In the meantime, Colonel, we'll come back to you, but I think that David Ford with Edison is back on, so we can bounce up to him and then we'll come back to you, Colonel. So David, if you're available to answer this, the question for Edison was the prior rebates and incentives for homeowners to install energy efficient windows had an income restriction. Due to the change in circumstances, will those rebates be available for all homeowners who lost their homes and are rebuilding?
Okay, just 1 second. Let me.
Yep, and we hear you and see you.
Okay. I will have to follow up with that question and get a response from our customer division to see if those rebates are available. I do remember several years ago that the window film program was in place for rebates for customers who were installing window film, but I definitely will follow up with a response once I get that information back from our business customer division.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Dave. And Colonel, we'll go back to you now. If you can unmute yourself. Do you need me to repeat the question?
No, can you hear me okay now?
Oh, we're still hearing a lot of feedback. We can go ahead and take that question probably offline.
Ask the question again, because that Amy may be able to answer, because it sounds like it's less about Army Corps and more about being able to rebuild if the tree is not removed. Can you repeat the question?
Yep, I'll repeat the question right now. So it's, how can we get a tree reassessed so that we do not have to sign a waiver and jeopardize or complicate our rebuild permits?
I would need to understand, do they want the tree removed or not? Because it sounds as if they're asking to have the tree removed as part of it.
No, I think what they're asking is they don't want to have to sign the waiver, which basically says that they assume all responsibility for that tree if anything happens. And I don't think that you can. Either you're all in or you're all out. And if you want to keep the tree, then you've got to sign a waiver saying the onus is on me. But the other part of that question was, if they sign the waiver saying they want to keep the tree, will that impact their rebuild efforts? And I don't think it will it, Amy?
So if it is a like for like rebuild and they are building in the same footage, the same square footage, and then no. But if they're going to add a bedroom or they're going to add an ADU and it goes into the impact zone for that tree, then yes. So it depends on whether it's a like for like or not.
Okay. I think on the waiver side, when you, if you want to save the tree, you have to sign the waiver with the Army Corps. That's a non-negotiable thing, just for whoever it was that asked the question, that's non-negotiable. The question on the building is got to be like for like. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have time for just one more question. So we'll go to the Department of Public Health. We have Dr. Mahajan on. The question is FEMA still refusing to do soil testing after the sorry, I'm hearing feedback, I guess. Is FEMA still refusing to do soil testing after the U.S. Army Corps is finished with debris removal? If so, will the state or county help homeowners with finding reliable companies to do this and also help with the cost of soil testing?
Thanks so much. Good afternoon. The Army Corps of Engineers has indicated that based on their past experience in other wildfires, that removing 6 inches of the topsoil of the debris in topsoil would be sufficient depth to take care of the fire debris. Now, it's understandable that there would be concerns with this approach, and that's understood. And as a result, soil testing can be quite expensive. And we're not able to, in the LA County Department of Public Health, I'm not aware of the state agencies making specific recommendations to the public about which particular company to use for soil testing if a member of the public would like to do so. That said, there are several groups in academia, consortiums that are looking at testing air, water, and soil currently and afterwards to try and understand if there are any risks. We in the LA County Department of Public Health are currently doing a set of soil sampling in a risk-based approach where we're sampling soil in public locations throughout both the Palisades and the Eaton areas. And we will be sharing the results of that soil testing when we have them in a few weeks. Our goal is to try and understand, what is the risk now, and then we will look to see if there may need to be additional work after that in terms of testing. I want to point folks to the website we have at LA County Department of Public Health. I'm going to put it in the chat now, where you can look at all the different groups, the academic groups, the state agencies, as well as county departments that are engaged in different kinds of testing in the burn and adjacent to burn areas for air, water, and soil. And as results come up, the results are posted publicly, and you can link to those results from the website. So I'm going to put that in the chat. At the website, if you have more questions or concerns, please feel free to contact us. There's a phone number there. You can email us. We're happy to take you through what these results mean. It can be confusing. We held a town hall last week with experts from Harvard University, from the consultants that are doing the soil testing for the LA County Department of Public Health and others, to try and explain how the testing is set up and what to expect when we see the results. That video is also available on the LA County Department of Public Health website if you want to take a quick peek and understand more. Back to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. And thank you everyone for joining us today. At this time, that's all the time we have for questions. So Supervisor Barger, I'm going to turn it back to you now for any closing remarks.
Yeah, I just want to say that while we do this at 4 o'clock, if there are issues or things that come up, please reach out, whether it be directly to my office or go up to the one-stop center up on Woodbury. But we are here to support you moving forward. And I hope that you all know that today is just an opportunity to kind of hear from us. But at the same time, there are opportunities for you to get your questions answered in real time. So do not hesitate to reach out. We are all here to serve you. So with that, I appreciate you all being here.
Thank you.